No, I gotta try again. Oh, hey. Hey, everybody. How's it going? This is Aaron and Brian. We're some guys talking. We're just chilling. It's a Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. This is usually when you hear us on the old LinkedIn Live, or maybe you catch us on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you for joining us if you have joined us from wherever you're joining us. We're happy to see you. Today, we're going to get into wellness, which is something we talk about a lot on this show. But we
Yes.
wanted to kind of get into sort of routines and what people are doing, and and sort of old things that don't work anymore, and new stuff that might be better to do. And then of course it extends to other things like not paying attention to wellness causes certain problems that can lead to even bigger problems. And we're going to get into all that today. So, Aaron, how are you today, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful day here in the Northeast. It's hot. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Hey, no worries there. It's hot over there. That's great. A little warmness for you. It's actually cold here in Southern California this morning. We're having a little May gray, which happens sometimes to us. Anyhow, it's nice, little breeze. So I did want to hop right on into it. But before, let's do a little quick check. How's things going at in your life and rooted intellect and all that good stuff?
Things are going really, really well. We have actually our prototypes are shipping, and I'm going to be photographing them because the Amazon store is going to go live. We are so excited about that. There's been just a ton of interest in people wanting to purchase them, so we are excited about that. And the photography is going fantastic. I am will be announcing. I'm very excited. I will be working with the amazing Annie Davis and Annabelle Laurel at Aero Brands,
Nice.
helping them drive their visual direction for their marketing
Very
for
cool.
the Aero Vape pens, as well as
Yep.
the Araya gummy brand, because I think what is really missing, and it kind of ties into what we're talking about today, is what I really want to show and through this work is just how cannabis can help just your daily life, how it can improve, how it can be used as a tool to just kind of craft a better experience. It's such a varied plant that
Yeah.
it's, everything from an espresso to like a sleeping pill. It does everything in between. That there are aspects of it that can enhance your life. So it's pretty amazing. Arrow has just a huge portfolio of different formulations that just work for any time of the day. So really excited to do that and just get things going. And the one thing I'm looking outside, we're in the talks of doing an amazing backyard pop-up. So if you're in Massachusetts and you want to come hang out and spend the day, stay tuned because we're going to be doing something here. You've seen my backyard many times, but yeah, we just want to have a great community atmosphere. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But all is going well. Lots of changes, and yeah, no
Very
complaints.
exciting.
All is good. Very exciting.
Nice. Very exciting. Yeah, everything's going pretty excitingly, I'll say. At Beard Bros, we've got a lot of awesome stuff coming down the pipe, most notably on Friday, our latest LinkedIn Live show, our third one, will debut with Chelsea Mulligan. She'll be speaking with Alyssa, Satori. It'll be really great. It's about retail and marketing and, how to scale and grow your business. It's going to be very, very exciting. There's been a lot of well-received, the LinkedIn Live series has been really well received, so we'll continue to crank them out. They're doing very well. And I just realized, yes, you were talking about Massachusetts. All fans of RSO in Massachusetts, please go to beardbros.com, find your local retailer to go buy some, because it's amazing stuff. And we are in your neighborhood. So if you are in Massachusetts and you're curious about Beard Bros RSO, go to our product finder. You'll find one of the retailers near you, and boom, you're right there. So, very
RSO,
exciting stuff.
Good stuff. RSO is awesome. Keep going.
It is. It really works well. There's even continued ways to be improving it too. So, like, you're always looking at ways to continue to do better and stuff. So it's great. There's a lot of advancements that need to happen, but it's certainly an efficacious form of a delivery system.
Well, I was going to say, why don't you quickly break it down for our audience who don't know what RSO is, because it's under the banner of wellness. So
that's true. So RSO stands for Rick Simpson oil, like at least in you like where it stems from, but really it's just a very good full spectrum tincture that uses the full plant to basically make sure that it's the most efficacious it could be. It's created in a way that is has some controversy to it, to be fair, but ultimately it's found to be very efficacious. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think there'll be ways that they improve the way that it's created,
Mm-hmm.
or processed, I should say, maybe is a better way to say that over time. But I don't think there's any dispute that it's one of, if not the sort of best blends to use for all sorts of conditions, to be fair.
I think originally wasn't it skin cancer that Rick Simpson started with? I believe it was, and it was like a
I
top.
think so, but I don't want
Basically,
to speak out
folks
of
at
turn.
home, it basically is like cannabis, like super oil, and it has lots of health benefits.
It was tinnitus.
Tinnitus. Okay.
Yeah, he created it for his tinnitus. I knew it was something a little off the beaten path.
That's not even close. Okay.
Yeah, and tinnitus, man, what a horrible thing that is. Like having that to buzz in your ear constantly, like Jiminy Christmas. Like that would.
I'm a music lover, and I listen intently. That would drive me crazy. I can hear every little sound in a song. That would just
that would be very difficult for me. So bless Rick Simpson and bless him for attacking that condition and basically creating a blend that had a lot more health benefits than just that one. So anyhow, that's a pretty good one. You'll see it everywhere. Beard Bros certainly aren't the only company that make an RSO, but ours is the best. So.
I'm pretty sure people have used that for skin cancer, like topical. It has all kinds of crazy uses.
Oh, for sure. People have used it for, to help with all sorts of conditions. Cancer, all sorts.
A huge one. one.
So, those are pretty, interesting ways. So that does lead into wellness, right? So, I know especially a lot of folks there's all this new stuff. How do I work this into my routine? Is it more superior than things I was doing in the past? A lot of that's up to you to judge for yourself, to be honest. But I think there is ample evidence to support that, like a good regimen of, let's say, RSO, might not be bad for you to take, once a day, right, at night or something, if you feel like that, or in the morning. Gives you a general wellness feel, puts a lot of great nutrients and good stuff, for lack of a better term, in your system. So to continue to help, it's a great way to be proactive. Like, I think that's what we should hit on, is a lot of people understand wellness when they're sick, when they feel bad or when they feel crummy. They're like, oh, great. The reason I feel, and right away when you feel bad, what it is. You do. You're like, oh man, I ate, fast food 5 days in a row or whatever. Or, or like I didn't work out for 2 weeks and now I tweak my back. Why? Well, because you've been out of shape. You're not working it, that sort of thing. So I think people are reactionary a lot of times when it comes to their health. And I think we need to put ourselves in positions to be proactive.
Preventative.
Preventive, yes. And I think that, I am a show. What can I do? But ultimately, I do think that the products that we, champion, the industry that we work in, the other industries that are ancillary to it that are growing the same way, i.e. like psychedelics and other different things like that, it is ushering in a new wave of wellness products that are superior to many of the things that came before them. And if you can use it in a proactive way, and not just plant medicine, right? Meditation, right? Yeah. There's other things too, yoga or stretching or watching a good podcast you're learning from, or like somebody who's tapping into something that you're struggling with and they're really resonating. Those are good things. Like, those are good things to do and to program into your day, or to stop and say, hey, let me watch this. Let me learn a little bit of something here because I'm concerned about X, Y, Z.
And I think when people, sometimes when people hear meditation, they think like, just literally just being mindful of just taking a minute to just stop and say, hey, how you doing? Like, what's going on with your brain? Like, how are you feeling right now? I mean, it could be as simple as that. I do want to just talk back to something, because you and I, like, we started talking about RSO. Obviously, a lot of the platforms that we broadcast are cannabis friendly. I know, one of the ones is Facebook, which is not so much, but it's no secret that we are, we have a bias toward wellness through cannabis.
Yes.
And for me, I mean, and that is a part of my plan. It allows me to be it. Thank you. It allows me to be mindful. It allows me to get through whatever I'm thinking and get to the kind of crux of what's going on in my head. And that's part of it. And whether it, and I'll have realizations when I smoke that just allows me to see things, like there will be a clarity, because there is a clarity. So that's kind of one thing, like that's part of my wellness routine. But obviously I like to work out and try to eat, healthier. Sure. But I think the most thing is just like where I find what benefits me most is just literally just being more mindful of what is going on with me. Actually, it's very interesting. I had therapy this morning, and one of the things we were discussing was, again, they have that whole, you hear the when they say on a plane, put your mask on before you help someone else with their mask.
That's right.
And we were kind of discussing that whole idea, where if
you can't help yourself, you can't help anybody else.
Thank you. If you're not well, because I have been known in the past, and it's, where I am more, there are times when I'm more focused on my family. So whether it's my wife or my kids or my nephew or his mom, it's just like that. So with me or my parents, like there were times where my go-to was like, I literally need to check in and make sure all these people are okay. And then once I know everyone's good, then I'll check in and be like, hey, how you doing? And it's like being last. And it's like that had to fundamentally shift, because, if you're not well, then you can't be there for anyone. If you can't be there, like if you're not well, then you won't be there for the family or anyone else who relies on you. So it's imperative that you check in with yourself constantly. And in some places, and this is the one that I have a hard time with, and whereas sometimes you have to put yourself first over other people, and you feel guilty, like, because you've always been able to be there, and but there are times that you need to do that. So it was really interesting to kind of have that conversation that kind of complemented what we're talking about today. That, like, although you and that's the realization, like people that you have to, you just have to prioritize yourself. And I know sometimes for us, we feel that that's selfish, but
honestly, Aaron, I think that what you're talking about is so important that I've literally been putting out posts and content that reflect that exact thing for a decade. Literally. And I still do it, and I will continue to do it, because I don't know how else to say it, is that, like, if you aren't working, everything else doesn't. It just doesn't. Right? Like, think about it. And I just like, you ever have a really annoying hangnail, and it just is, it's just a little bugger, and you're like, but then you rip it off, it hurts still, it's annoying you all day. Right? Think about how that affects what you do the rest of the day. Right? You're checking your fucking finger. You're not up to point. It's annoying you. Right? It's painful. Right? What should you do? Right? Put a daub of Neosporin on it, wrap that bad boy up, call it a day. You'll feel good. But what do? You let it stay. Right? There, and you play with it. You try to like pick the skin. It hurts worse, but you're like, well, I got it. So it's bleeding. You're distracted, right? You're trying to work while this is all taking place, right?
That's why I just take a nail clipper and go snip, and I move on.
Want to do it too. Exactly right. That's a good one too. Snap that bad boy off. Exactly. But either way, you're distracted. Is my point, right? And if something that small distracts you. Imagine if your, I don't know, fucking kid is sick, or something really serious is happening. You're having problems in your relationship, money ain't right. You can't make a house payment or something, right? Like, these are fucking like, and so when those things are happening, holy cow, you have to have some mechanisms in place to be able to center yourself and be rocking and rolling. And so if you don't understand yourself, and you don't understand to try to be proactive in these ways, you're going to be in a worse spot when those things inevitably happen. And that doesn't mean that you have to do exactly what Aaron and I are saying. There's a billion ways to tap into wellness, and you don't even have to agree with half the things that we agree with. Aaron and I don't even see eye to eye on every single thing, but ultimately, whatever that is for you, tap into it and try to be proactive. Right. And again, there's all sorts of stuff that we're talking about here. Wellness is a big monster that's like a lot of different things. It has a lot of different parallels.
And it's constant. It's
yes.
constant.
It's not something that you just do and you're like, yay, we're good. You know, like it's a never ending, always evolving. Your body will evolve in different ways that we often don't like either. That will adjust the things that you need to do for wellness, or increase perhaps the things that you need to do, or become a higher priority for you. Right? Maybe that arthritis finally is kicking in. Okay, need to get my topicals and my lotions going a little bit more each day than I used to. Right? That lower back starts catching up a little bit more, starts tweaking a little bit more as you get older. Right? You're busy. You don't work out as much. Understood. But then you got to have some things that sort of, right, work that into the routine. Right? And I loved your point about meditation. This is something that I can't stress enough to people isn't some like again, I meditate frequently, but I could do it like in 5 minutes over here and then come back to a meeting, because it's all like what I want to do up here. Right? It's me, whether that's I'm talking to God, if you're, a Christian or whatever, or maybe I'm just talking to myself to like pump myself up and be like, yo, we got to get going here, pal, or like whatever. Or I have mantras that I like to say to myself that help resonate with me. One of my favorites that I say to myself, especially when I'm trying to get geeked up for something I'm nervous about, which happens to me pretty frequently, or not, I won't say frequently, but fairly regularly, is I'm one with the universe and the universe is one with me. I am loved and appreciated. I appreciate and love. And then I just repeat that saying probably 3-4 times.
Right on.
In my head. And I do a little breathing in between, like a little, like it'd be like this. And I don't say it out loud. I'd say it in my head. So I say, I'm one with the universe is one with me. I love and appreciate. I appreciate and love. And then I say it again. And then I do that again. Do that maybe 3-4 times. Puts me in a pretty good spot. That's me, though. That's my thing. Like, you don't have to even do it that way. That doesn't have to be your mantra. You know
what I think is the important thing, and just that, like you said, it doesn't matter like who you're talking to. What I think it's just the simple fact of being self-aware.
Yes.
Where you just stop and you're like, hey, check in, like whatever.
Right.
What's going on? What's going on with you?
People are taught not to talk to themselves. People are taught it's crazy. What the fuck? Like everybody
that conversation. Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so if somebody's saying you that, that's one of the stupidest people in the world. Honestly, it's one of the dumbest fucking people ever. I don't give a fuck if that's your dad. Stupid. Okay? Don't pay attention to people who fucking say shit like that at all. Not ever. Don't respect them and don't listen to them and don't give them any sort of credence. They have no idea what they're talking about. I don't give a shit if it's your pastor. I don't care if it's your beautiful little grandma that's 80 and she's lovely. She doesn't understand what she's talking about.
Grandma's tripping.
Yeah, grandma's tripping.
My grandma used to talk to herself and she was proud of that shit. And if you had something to say, she'd cuss your ass out and be like,
absolutely. That sounds a lot like my Nana, to be honest. In fact, I think we might have hit us something we have very in common. Is that on your mom or dad's side?
I've got 3 badass grandmas. I was like, I'm a weird guy. I've got 2 moms and 3 grandmothers. So yeah, I know. All of them were badass.
That's awesome. But they're on your mom's side though.
Yeah, my mom's and my dad. No, all of them are pretty badass.
Yeah, so all of them. So across the board, very good. Yeah, well, my Nana that I was thinking of is on my dad.
You grow up like, yeah, they kind of had to be.
Yeah, I mean, this. I come from like blue collar people who are, waiters and bartenders and that sort of thing. And my Nana, all 5'3" of her, a buck nothing, was just one of the tougher ladies you're ever going to run into. And while she doted on me and loved me and very much understood that I was loved and she was very affectionate, she's very much like my dad. Honestly, my dad's mom. So, but ultimately very much like my dad, same kind of thing. Like, I'll show you love, but I also will punch somebody in the fucking mouth if they fucking, step incorrectly. And I was like, that just seemed normal to me. Right. Mm-hmm. Like that, when people disrespect to that degree, there's lessons that need to be learned.
I think of that's a grandmother. Like, it's like love at 100, defend at 100.
That's yes.
If you mess with her people, God help you. I gotta listen to that.
You'd be better off messing with her specifically. You screw with her husband, husband, wife, or sorry, kids, grandkids. Bad, bad.
And one Nana used to carry a knife and a gun. She did not
there you go.
play. You really
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to? All right, let's jump back to wellness. Actually, it's funny because I'm working on, shout out to Tony. I'm working on this wellness project where each of us, this particular the focus of this book is there are 8 authors and they're all people of color. And they're all describing what wellness means to them because it's something that we think it's beneficial for Black folks in particular to find different ways of, for wellness. And what I was talking to you earlier about, like I'm writing my, like, so each of us have a chapter of what wellness means to us where we get to describe that. But it was interesting, and we were talking about it earlier, like I had a realization, and again, one of those great things that come from smoking and sitting there and just kind of being able to go over things in your head, is that I realized that some of the wellness routines that I was fostering I haven't had a drink in 5.5 years. I'm thankful. I don't have any desire. I don't have any cravings. I'm good. People want to drink, do you? I'm good. I don't need it. But I've had certain kind of wellness routines that I have had over those 5.5 years that have served me. And it was a realization on Friday. I'm like, some of these things aren't serving me anymore. So some of my wellness routines that have worked for me in the past are almost limiting now. So I've got it's interesting. I'm working on this chapter, but the chapter was basically going to end with where I was. But now kind of the twist of it is that now I'm to that point, and now I know that I need to switch up some of my wellness routines because they're not serving me as they did before. Because personally, I'm stronger as a person, so I don't need to rely on some of those things anymore. Some of those things are just habits and almost superstition where I don't need them. So it's interesting, like and it goes to the point of what we were saying is that your wellness routine may always be constantly shifting and different. And that's life. Life always shifts.
For sure.
So it's to be expected that not what you might have to change up your routine. But I guess probably the takeaway is as long as you're checking in with yourself and literally saying, how am I doing? Or how do I, because we get into problems when we start to, and I'm famous for this, when we deny the emotions that we're going through. Like just an example, like I'm not one that really like faces some. And I remember it was well, no, I was going to tell a funny story about dropping my kid off at daycare for the first time, and it hit me. I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. But more than like, we had a recent loss in the family, and my focus, well, not that recent, but we had a loss in the family, and it was like I was so focused on other people and making sure that they were okay. Yep. That at no point in that 2 weeks did I check in with myself. How are you doing? How am I processing? So I was so focused on other people. It wasn't until I literally sat down in the pew at the funeral service when it all just was like, oh shit, this is happening to you too, not just everyone around you. Yep. And I was like,
you lost someone too, pal.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's important for us to just constantly be checking in and not to ignore, like maybe just something as simple as work is getting more stressful. Something is getting more stressful in your life. Instead of just saying, okay, it is what it is and no, you actually need to think about that and how that might affect you and what the repercussions of that are. Because if you don't deal with that, and I tell my kids, if you don't deal with your shit's going to deal with you.
That's
like literally, you can pretend, you can put away, and that was, that was like me drinking. It's like if you don't deal with shit, you're gonna have to deal with shit.
That's right.
So come on now, like just and so when it comes your way, figure it out, process it instead of going, oh, I don't see anything, no problem. So yeah,
you remind me of a lesson I learned when my Nana passed away. I was 12, and when she died, I literally didn't cry or anything. I just shut down. Like I was told when I got home, I remember I was wearing my football gear. I could see it like it was yesterday. My dad's at the top of the stairs. He looked like he was trying. My dad, I'd seen him cry maybe 5 times in my life at that point, something like that. And so I was like, holy shit, something's wrong. He says it. And it didn't register. It really didn't. I just, and I literally was silent pretty much. Like I was just in my own head for literally the whole time. Like we drive down to California We visit the family. It took until my Nana was Catholic, so they had a viewing, and and we went to the viewing. And just like it struck me when you said you sat in the pew, because that's what happened to me too. Is I sat in the pew, and I wasn't concerned about everybody else. I was just in my own head about all of it. Right? I wasn't allowing myself to understand that my Nana really passed away. I was literally just like, nope, 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 nah.
So you saw her.
Right. Well, she was, man, it just did not, it was not acceptable for me. Like that was my, Nana. That was like who doted on me more than anybody, who like protected me more than anyone, who, was there for me more than anyone in many ways, in the ways I thought anyways.
Right.
But then, yeah, once you like, I saw her and that started it. I was like, oh, that's real. There she is. You can't deny that, bro. Like there she is. And so I went way to the back pew, way in the corner, like nobody would see me. Of course, everybody fucking saw me. And I just started bawling my fucking eyes out, And I remember that a lot because it's one of the only times I can remember really resisting feelings, right? Like, no, nuh-uh, no. It didn't happen. No, it didn't. I'm not letting this happen, right? But I had no control, obviously. I had to learn the lesson the hard way. And what I learned was, yeah, man, if you keep that in and you don't absorb it right away and you don't, start trying to address it, it's just going to be that much harder. And it's going to result in you being even more emotional when it finally hits you, right? And that also works in like more negative ways, right? Like if you're holding in that anger and then somebody says like just one little thing and you just explode on them, right? It's because you didn't process your anger about the core situation appropriately, And again, it goes back, like, again, this is a super big theme of our show. We talk about it all the time because it does feel like you can whittle everything down to like, yo, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not talking to yourself, if you don't have a relationship with yourself,
you're fucked. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I don't care how you tap into that. Like, again, we're not here to tell you what religion to believe or, how to kind of run your life or your family's life. But we are here to encourage you to make sure that you're checking in with this person.
And prioritize yourself. That's what that's it.
And again, it's not you being selfish. It isn't. So stop thinking that. Stop. And on top of that, it's not like you have to like, to take care of myself. Now I'm going to go ahead and go away for 5 days and leave all my responsibilities. No, like you just are literally talking to yourself throughout the day every now and again. Or if something's really heavy, you maybe take a little 5-10 minutes, like you walk outside, you take a walk, you think, but when you think you're talking through it, you're working with it through yourself. Right. If that's tough, then go talk to somebody you can trust because that's the next step. If you can't get to a place where it's cool here, right, then you have to go get help. If you can't get help from friends, then maybe it's therapists, maybe it's something more, right? And you have to just be able to like go, fuck, okay, this is a bigger problem than I thought. I got to address it. You know what I mean?
Can I just add something and just a really quick aside that for anyone who does go to therapy, I'm just going to request that you just be as honest as you can. Don't waste your time. Don't waste their time. And and this is coming from someone who did therapy for years and was afraid to do the work and was afraid to be honest. And if you can't be honest, then you're just wasting your gas, your time, their time, your money. Just nope.
Put it like this, save the like BS and the niceties for people that you don't want to talk to or that you don't have that kind of a connection with, right? So no one's saying that like you need to talk to everybody that asks you, right? Maybe you're somebody like me, you wear your emotions on your sleeve. Anybody can notice when I'm angry. Anybody can notice when I'm, perturbed. Anybody can notice when I'm, and so I have to just own it. So I'm in meetings, probably like, hey, that didn't hit you right, Brian? And I'll be like, I can't sit there and go, no. I can't say like, no, it's fine. You know what I mean? Because then like they're like, dude.
My face.
So I have to be, but that's me. You know what I'm saying? Like other people have a much better poker face when it comes to that sort of stuff. That's nothing wrong with that. My point is like, you just have to know yourself.
Yeah.
You just have to know you.
Yeah.
Like know where your gray area is, know where your lines of demarcation are, where your lines are that people
and be okay with that.
Correct.
And be okay with that.
Yeah.
And accept
be amicable, like also grow, learn. Like the things that you're super pissed about, like when you're 25, probably not the same when you're 40.
No.
Truthfully, right? So, keep things in context. Like I always found it good to sort of make fun of myself a little, like, like get over yourself, pal. Like, what are you, you know what I mean? Like I found things like that to be not where I'm belittling myself, just basically like, Brian, stop making a big mountain out of a molehill. You know what I mean? Bro, slow down. You know what I mean? Chill out. Like it ain't that bad. It's not going to like, our heads be going down rabbit holes, and all of a sudden some little comment that you had with somebody you like that didn't go right, all of a sudden leads into like, oh, we're not friends anymore, and we're not going to do business, and we're not going to la la la, and oh my God, they're going to be right. You got to check that shit, because when people let that stuff out, it's bad, like bad. Like, what do they do? Instead of going to the person that they like need to talk to, they go around them or above them, right? You just can't be doing those things, so you got to be careful. Oh no, Aaron is frozen, for I am. I wonder what happened. Well, there we go.
We're back.
Anyhow, just a little blip. I covered us. I just bullshitted for a while, but it wasn't too long. Anyways, my point was, I was just saying that, like, you got to be careful about getting triggered, about getting that, like, having like that antsiness, right? Again, that antsiness is your body saying to yourself, like, yo, you got to fix this. You're nervous, you're anxious about this, right? But people know the right thing to do and don't do it because it's the hardest thing to do. It's the scariest thing to do, which is, oh man, I got to go talk to somebody. I got to apologize, or I've got to admit that I feel a certain way that's not good, right? I've got to have an uncomfortable conversation, right? Those are what people want to avoid. People would rather avoid that uncomfortable 5 minutes and live with pain for years.
Yeah.
I don't get that. From an ROI perspective, it makes no sense at all.
I literally have, and I've been saying it, and I know that my kids are sick. I know my family's sick of me saying it, but I've been saying it forever. And I literally call it the rock in the shoe. Okay? You're jogging. There's a rock in your shoe. You don't want to stop and untie your shoe and get the rock and do whatever. So you keep running, And what happens? No, literally take the 5 minutes, address the situation, and move it on. Keep it moving instead of like damaging yourself further. But it literally is that. Just have the uncomfortable, stop, do it, keep it moving. And part of just not getting to the place where someone makes a comment and you explode is as simple as try not to let things build up where you have that happen. So address the things. All right.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Our guy Brian's watching us today.
Right on, Brian.
Correct. He's very correct with this statement right here. Don't lie to yourself. That's a good one too, Brian. Thank you for bringing that up. Don't lie to yourself. That's another thing that people do all the time, right? They convince themselves that there's something they're not. They convince themselves the situation is not what it is, and then they act on it, right? Be careful. Be careful. Don't lie to yourself. That's a great one, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. That was absolutely awesome.
Exactly correct. And so important not to lie to yourself, right? Like, again, it's a relationship with yourself. Would you want to be lied to? So don't lie to yourself, right? Don't trick yourself into thinking you're something you're not. That's what people mean when they say stay in your lane. They don't mean don't aspire to be more things. They say know when the right time to do that is, right? Stay in your lane. Doesn't mean that you need to, and then on top of that, you don't need to listen to people, not if you don't want to. Anyhow, I just think there's a lot of there needs to be a lot of emphasis on, I don't know if destigmatizing is the word, just really teaching folks that some men, teaching them that for lack of a better term, wellness regimen, right, is important. It is. Like you should have some sort of tincture, maybe you take every day, a multivitamin or something, right? Again, it doesn't all have to be plant medicine, but are you doing things to put healthy stuff in your body? Going out there, getting active every now and again, right? Going on a walk, working out, etc., right? Like, do you talk to yourself in a positive manner? Are you proactively doing so, right? Do you use any products that sort of enhance this, right? Like a tincture or a lotions maybe, or a smoke, like again, while there's more efficacious or healthier ways, I guess, to consume, it's not like smoking is like horrific for you when it comes to cannabis. So whatever you like to do, own it. And if in your head you're like, well, I'd prefer to like not be smoking so much, well, chip away at that as time goes on, right? Have a gummy, have a something else, right? Anyhow, my point is, to your point, Aaron, those regiments change.
Mm-hmm.
They change based on preference, on what's going on in your life, age, biology, right? So allow yourself the grace, right? Allow yourself the grace to change.
I 100%. I appreciate what Brian said, and it's interesting because I would love to know what more men kind of feel about, like, I would say you and I are not necessarily or typical of. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I don't think we are. I don't think we're I mean, that'd be for the audience to judge, I think, better than ourselves. But
like, I
agree with you. I don't think we're. I mean, you're 51. I'm 48, so we're basically the same age. Like, we, a give or take. I think you maybe have more guys our age that are a little more aware of this, but I'm not sure that we're at a point where it's like 70% of men are like, yep, we're good,
And I'm just curious of because I always get curious how other people's minds just work and how they see things. So I'm just curious of whether men think it's like, touchy-feely crap, or if it's something, I don't know, maybe there was a time in my life when I would have, I've always been kind of the same person in my spirit.
I was very fortunate. Like, as I get older, I'm so thankful for my father that I had him when I did, because he was the toughest son of a gun I ever knew. Truly, like, was a fighter when he was a kid. He was in 4 tours in Vietnam. Dealt with a crap load of pain and issues, and you would have never known it. But he was also the first guy to say, I love you. He'd kiss me in front of people. He would hug me in front of people. He was like, a man is affection, and a man shows love. A man, understands that, right? Yeah, I know. I mean, he was amazing. I got nothing to say except for I was fortunate to have a kick-ass dad. I really was. And it helped me a lot as I was basically coming to grips with my own kind of push and pull, because we inevitably go through it, right? Men, at least most men I know of our age, give or take a few years, have gone this. Like, there's this whole push and pull of like, well, I want to be a good person, but I got to be tough, right? And then and then a whole thing with guys is like, they'll call you soft, or like to poke the bear, or if they don't get what they want, or a lot of times it's just a pissing contest because guys are ego driven, and that's what it is, right? So for me, it's funny. I didn't get hardened to loving people or emotion. I got hardened to that kind of stuff. So I was a younger guy that when the older guy would say, oh, stop being soft or whatever, I would say, I'll show you fucking soft.
Yeah.
You want to fucking see soft? You want to fucking play that game? You want to see soft? I'll show you soft. Like, again, so like for me, that was basically. And of course, I'm 6'2", 220. There's some advantages there. So, as a young guy, I didn't really realize that. Older, I understood a little bit better, right? So I hate that it's like that for men. I hate it. Like, I hated the idea that I knew when I was like 8 years old that there was inevitably I was going to have a physical confrontation at least a handful of times in my life, no matter what. No matter how nice I was, no matter how sweet I was, no matter how good of a person I was, no matter how good grades I got, no matter what, inevitably there'd be some bully. There'd be some person who had a problem. There'd be somebody who just didn't like how you looked and wanted to poke at you.
I'm in touch with that.
So I was really pleased that I had a father who prepped me for that, right? And I never wanted to be a fighter. So what he teach me? How to end fights quickly.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And when I did that a couple of times, guess what? Nobody really messed with me anymore.
I know that now.
But that fucking sucks that it's like that. Like, I hope it's not like that for most young guys coming up now. Well, I hope that you can be taught like that. There's not that doesn't have to happen, and that shouldn't be something that you worry about. Should you know how to defend yourself? Yes. because you just want to be protected in the world. I think you should know some semblance of like, hey, if the shit goes down, here's what I'm supposed to do. Like you should have a little bit of an idea about what that is.
Right in the solar plexus or the throat. That ends every fight.
That's it. You know, a good knee, you can basically dodge to the left and crank a knee and it's over. So
right there.
Nose is a great one. Just break a nose.
That's a good one. Well, the reason why I ask, it's not to like dump on or kick men in the nuts who don't want to talk about.
No, it's what I'm saying is because that's the sort of dynamics that they have to deal with. It's hard to tap into this stuff.
Well, and that's the concern, and it's, you know, again, I have raised daughters, and it wasn't until the last 3 years when I'm, you know, more or less raising a son. But, you know, I was always concerned about, you know, like issues with my daughters and the things that they have to share. But I wasn't necessarily interested in what goes on with boys, because in most cases it was some little shithead like giving my daughter a hard time, and it was annoying. But but with that, you know, now I understand, and raising a boy, you know, I think I understand that both things, that things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Like you don't only have to be concerned about young girls' safety and struggling. You can also be about young boys. And I know that there is a really big problem with young men and boys who are struggling because there are things that they're choosing not to deal with because it's not traditionally something that we do. So that's kind of where the question is, because, you know, there is an understanding like that men and let's be honest, dude. In many of the problems of the world, and I'm saying this as a man, and if men get upset, I don't give a shit. Many of the problems of the world are a direct result of men and boys suffering. A lot of the carnage and all the shit that we're seeing is because many men and boys don't know how to function in a society and be an active part of that society. So that's just kind of my question. It's
also historically how men have acted, you know, how they've sort of, you know, been presented, acquired, you know, power, right? And then abused that power, of course, right? And it's mostly just one certain kind of dude in our modern history, right? Looks a lot more like me than you, and that's how it is.
He's more.
So I don't know how else you can't look at modern history and not understand that. I mean, everybody knows what a colonizer is.
We do,
right? Is that a good thing? Probably not, right? Like again, so like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's, you know, I just don't like, I don't I have a hard time with people who don't respect facts. You know, like I do. And again, this is run rampant now.
Facts don't exist in 2024. Facts don't exist right now, dude.
But, well, they do. And so
they do, but they're not, you know.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. You're not wrong. I don't think people are ready. Like, I need everybody to be ready to be proactive in ways that they're super uncomfortable with. It's the only way that any of this shit that we're talking about will be chipped away at or even remotely bettered in our lifetime. Is if all of you who are scared to death and won't say a goddamn thing will start running your mouth.
Stand up.
It. That's literally all you have to do.
Punch the bully.
You don't have to go join a fucking big organization. You don't have to like turn your whole business into activist or anything like that. Just run your mouth. When you see the bullshit, call it. When you see the fucking, you know, when you see people being treated inequitably because it's bullshit, call it. You know, like, and you don't have to do it in public. In fact, sometimes in private, it's more effective, right? Because when you do it in public, you draw a whole bunch of PR and bullshit and all sorts of stuff to it, right? So if you really want to make progress, go find that CEO that rubbed you the wrong way and go talk to that person. Go find that fucking person who or go find that, like, if you were treated incorrectly as a woman or a black person or whatever, people should know. And you should certainly address it. Like, that's it's funny. I struggle greatly with the whole, these two things are versus each other in my head. When we go high, or when they go low, we go high, right? And then wait a sec though, like bullies only respond to, what do you do? Right?
You always
again,
have to defend those.
I'm not sitting here saying that we have the answer to that. We don't. Like that's something I think everybody struggles with that a little bit. I know, and if we're going to talk about facts and data, I'm pretty sure the people who take the let's go high while they go low are the exact same people that allow us to continue to get steamrolled by the people who don't give a fuck about that. So how do you beat those people? How do you push forth systems, initiatives, change that's for the positive with that whole dynamic fighting against you, right? Well, your instinct is to like, oh, let's just go, let's go fuck them up. You know what I mean? Of course, they deserve it. But ultimately, you got to be better than that. Got to be smarter. Because nobody's going to give you their power, right? Nobody's going to freely give you their spot. Then again, this is why I struggle, like wellness, right? This is why I struggle with like that dynamic. Is not because I can't understand the importance of like, hey, you can't be drug into the mud. You're a good person. Don't get into the mix with the people who, are below you in that way, blah, blah, blah. But when it's hurting your bottom line, or if it's, questioned your integrity or something negative has happened to your family as a result, like you think I don't have anger towards the military or the U.S. government? Are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah. My father is dead because of that.
Yeah.
He's dead. He's dead because you guys wanted to use Agent Orange on innocent Vietnamese civilians. Innocent. You heard me. That's why my dad's dead. He's not dead because he did anything wrong. He's dead because he went and served his country. And he followed orders like he was supposed to. Right? That's why my dad's dead. So, Brian, why aren't you like way out in front of like, fuck the government and fuck the military and screw all that shit, right? Well, my father died loving the military still. He certainly thought that the Constitution, he wasn't under no illusion that we were in the, we're all good. But he was like, dude, it's like the stuff is there. Like if you wrote the right people in there, there's a lot of things to go. He thought the existing system could be.
It could work if you work it right.
To do what we say we're going to do. Right. I do think that's a strategy that could work if you get enough people who believe that in places of voting power, right? Or so.
And honestly, I think I think that's where we're headed, because I think enough people live on Earth number one, where facts actually matter. I think enough people live in this planet who realize like the fact that you have more than half of our population of the country in certain places don't even have rights.
Yeah. Not acceptable.
How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Like, so those are the things like at times that get me frustrated, because I constantly, one of the things I'm saying to myself is, what are we doing here? Like, seriously, what are we doing here? Like, what is this? Like, we all have work and we all see what's going on. What are we doing here? As we whistle past the graveyard, what are we fucking doing? I'm sorry.
No, that's right. Like, I just think it's,
my kids have less rights than I did when I was born in 1973.
Yep. Yeah. So what are we doing? Right.
What are we doing?
I think it's, we've gotten, again, I think it goes right back to what we were talking about, is we've all gotten so either shell-shocked or disenchanted that the extremists run everything in a system that was already run by money. So you get that dynamic, and it's like, like the money controls those people. Those people, like sheep, react accordingly, and they vote accordingly, and they all are in line, and they all do what they're supposed to do. The problem with free thinking people is we free think. So I can look at both sides of that. I can analyze it from both ways. I can convince myself to do it. I can convince myself not to. Right. I know lots of good people, really smart, intelligent people who are like, I'm not voting. Right. Do I get that? I don't agree with that, but I get it. There's ample evidence to support that your vote doesn't mean shit. Truly, there is. And then, of course, we all know it's rigged. There's gerrymandering, and electoral college is rigged. It's all rigged. Like, literally, the presidential election usually comes down to like 5 districts or 4 states or something like that.
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of how fucked up it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though nationally people will win and then they don't win, right? So
But even
again,
but even
stop
that,
with
what
like
are we
again, like
doing?
hey, it's rigged. Like I don't understand what like it is, even though there is a mechanism in place, right? Like you can vote, and if we all did vote, you see what happens when the masses vote, right? And in fact, what's interesting about these last couple of elections is even though it seems like sentiment has dwindled considerably, when national elections have happened, highest votes we've ever had the last two
Yeah.
elections.
Oh yeah.
Interesting stuff, I think, right? Isn't that interesting?
I'm just hoping everyone's just not paying attention right now, because if they were paying attention, yeah, whatever. We have to go back to wellness, because when I think about some of the things, it makes me feel very unwell, because I constantly feel like I'm
But
taking crazy pills.
but this
So
is about wellness
yeah,
because the macro is that the reason it's so hard, or one of the main reasons it's so hard for people to tap into this, is because we have so much information
hmm
coming at us all the time about how you're not okay. These people
I
are
was
out to
going to
get
say
you.
most of it is
This
fear based.
whole, yeah, all this shit is coming to a head.
Get
It's
you.
all going to be devastating. You're fucked. Everybody in your neighborhood is fucked. Everybody's out to get you. Everybody's out to, right, to hurt you, right? That's
That's why
what you're just constantly inundated with all of that.
literally, that's why the Domino's pizza guy, I just saw a story where he was shot because he delivered to the wrong house.
Yep.
And the guy's like, "Oh, he's here to rob me." Pop, 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 pop. He put 7 shots at, like, okay.
Like, what are you
So
doing?
those are the things those are the things that mentally make me unwell, because it is just, well, you know what? How about this? You know what? I have to I find ways to put things in perspective, because if I did focus on that stuff, I would like lose my mind.
Yeah.
At the literal dangers it would like I would face walking out of my house.
Right.
But all that stuff. But I do have wellness routine and things that I have to like mindful of things to not let that take over. Because
Yeah.
if you were to just believe like what you see, it's like, what the hell?
That's
Like
right.
it's pretty and crazy out there. And I would think I'm taking my life into my own hands, just getting into my car. I mean, that's a reality. But can I focus on that? No, I can't. Which is crazy. Anyway. I think you're hung up, so I'm going to talk. I don't know which one of us is hung up. I don't know which one of us are seeing. I'm going to take a sip of water while we wait. Two hang-ups. Yo.
We're still on, so we can wrap up.
All
Hi.
right.
Sorry, I don't think anybody's still watching, but I will say this. Thank you for talking. My internet crapped down on me, and we're live streaming. That's basically what happened. Hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Brian. That's Aaron.
Hold on.
Your CTA is, of course, remember that you're awesome, and remember to let people know what the heck's going on, because can't help yourself, can't help nobody. And that's really a big theme of our show today. And so we are very thankful. And I doubt you've stuck around with us after a 3-4 minute delay. But anyhow, the last of the show is basically a couple CTAs, which is, always let people know what's going on. Remember that you're awesome. Remember to not lie to yourself, like our friend Brian reminded us. And be good to yourself and others, just like the old Jerry Springer used to say, actually, I think, which is that irony is not lost on me. So anyways, any last words, thoughts from you, Aaron?
Ditto to everything that you said. Thank you, Brian, for the comment. We love to have interaction with folks, and let us know that you're out there. And if you want to hit us up with a topic or anything, feel free anytime. But yeah, just make sure, just basically check in with yourself constantly. Okay. Just how am I doing? And just, it's not a bad thing to just, again, talk to yourself, but it's just mentally just check in with yourself and just make sure that you're okay. And if something is not sitting right with you, then you need to deal with it in the best way possible. But just, your mental health is everything. So if you're no good to yourself, then you're no good to anyone around you. So prioritize yourself. We love you.
Love you too. And love you guys out there. Thank you for joining us again. I'm Brian. That's Aaron. We're some guys talking. We'll see you next time.
Later, guys.
See you guys.